Welcome to my tattle den on a very, very cold January morning. I'm going pike fishing in about the next 5-10 minutes, and I've just popped into the tattle den just to check the weather on the computer, etc. And I'm just looking around here. And just before I go fishing, I actually love to come in here. It's full of memories for me, and full of memories actually. In some of the books, I've got photos of the place that I'm going today, Western Park. Absolutely fantastic venue. It's an old estate lake. It's typical England. There's a boathouse. You'd live in there all the time, and it's just a boathouse. It's an incredible place, and that's where we'll be fishing by. I mean, let's get it right. You know, fishing isn't just about big fish, and over the years I've had, you know, monstrous fish from all around the world, but it ain't just about, you know, big fish. It's about going fishing and enjoying it. And, you know, on a day like today, out there, cold weather, frost on the ground, you know, walk into your peg, I'll be really pleased if I can have anything over 10 pound, 12 pound, still big fish, away from the likes of chew and the trout reservoirs. A 10 pound, 15 pound pike is still a great fish to catch. And to be honest, when you get the take, you know, the bobbin drops off. That's what it's all about. And you know, when I look round here, that's all it's about. You know, the memories of travelling all around the world, and that's what this room is. And many's the time before I go fishing, to inspire me to get out there in the cold or whatever, you know, I'll come in here. You know, over the years I've had numbers of these rooms. This is a house I moved to 6 months ago, and I built this just to hold the memories of around the world. So before I even go, I'm right in the mood, and hopefully going round here looking at some of the things in here will put you in the mood. But let's stop the talking. Let's go pike fishing. If anyone ever asks you as an angler, why do you go fishing, then show them this little bit of film. It's early morning. It's about 7:30 on a January morning. Temperature's about 7 degrees. It's been very cold the last couple of days. Temperature's just going up. It's still quite cool, but in the right attire, it's warm, no problem at all. But look at that mist. You've got the cold water, the warmer air, forming that mist. You've got nature, listen to that, the coots, ducks, swans, all making noises, all started, even now at this early stage of sort of mid-January, third week in January, you got them starting to make moves that, you know, spring will soon be here. It's only a few weeks really, and they'll start to move, and it's just great to be out here. Two ends of the lake. Which end of the lake do you go to on a big lake? Well, to be honest, at this time of the year, there's a stream up that end, up the left-hand side, and that's where the fish will be spawning. That's where the pike will be spawning. They love that fresh water coming in. They'll be near there when they spawn, and I think they'll be halfway there from that end of the lake to here. I think they'll be halfway there now. Last week I caught a couple of fish here, so I'm going to pitch in here. I'm going to put a couple of rods in here. I've already got one out here. I'm going to fish here, and we'll see if the pike are here now. And you know, that's a good ploy. Early season October, early pike season October, November, they'll probably be the other end of the lake, a dam in the deeper part of the lake where the roach will be and where the feed fish will be. Then as the season goes on, they will want to spawn, they will want to breed. And what will they do? They'll start making the way. If there's a stream, an inlet stream coming in on any water, and there's a lot of inlet streams on most waters around the country, then head for that. That's where those pike will be heading the noses, and that's why I'm up here now. But look at that for a scene. Hey, why do you go fishing, Des? Because of that. You know, it don't matter what it is, whether it's a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, or egg and bacon, or a cheese cob. I don't know, there's something about it. Always tastes nicer outside, especially when it's cold like this and you've got warm clothes on to keep you nice and warm. It's absolutely fabulous. I just, to be honest, I think if I wasn't married, I think I'd just spend all the time out here. I just wouldn't go back. I've got that used to spending so much time out here now that I don't want to be inside. I just absolutely adore being outside. I think, you know, the bit at the front end, like the excuse to go fishing, is just the excuse to be out there. What you actually enjoy is actually being out there. That's the base of it all, being out there in the countryside. And God, I can't get enough of it. Okay, here's the rig that I probably use for 90% of my pike fishing when I'm ledgering for pike. And the first part of that is what we call a fledger. And the fledger is just the ledger weight, and there's a polystyrene or a foam ball that keeps your line up there out of the silt and out of the weed. So that just pops that up, so you get a nice free run in there when the fish takes, the pike takes. You get a free running thing there instead of being tucked down. If it was on the ledger would take it into the silt or into the weed. I've got a boom there, which is just a plastic boom, and all that does is, look, it hangs, when you're casting, it hangs the bait away from the lead, so it makes it, you know, less tangles. And then I've got a wire trace on there, quite a long wire trace. Although I'll be hitting the bite straight away, I still like a longish trace. There's a lot of teeth there, and if the pike just grabs it sideways and turns sideways on, I don't want a short trace that he bites off. Better to hook them in the mouth, a little bit deeper down, not anywhere near in the gut, but just a bit deeper down. If you do that, then, you know, there's a chance if you've got a short trace, you're going to be bit off. So, you know, there's my trace. That one's about 18 inches long, and that's my standard rig. 2 trebles, generally 6s and 8s. This is one of my favourite baits. I love using pop-up baits. I would say that 95% of the time I use pop-up baits. I like them popped off the bottom. I don't think a pike naturally likes to take baits off the bottom. He's either taking live fish, and so I like them to be popped up. And I'll show you a rig later where I pop them up with a ball. But these are naturally buoyant. Their swim bladder holds them up,
They're called pollen. They're a fantastic bait, but make sure I get them from this company. And the reason I do is that I was talking to the gaffer there, Paul, and he says the reason why their vacuum pack pop-up is they freeze them first. They freeze them first, then put them in the vacuum, then put the vacuum pack them. Because what some companies do, they actually get the fish, they put them in the bag and then vacuum pack them. Whereas they vacuum pack them, it just squeezes the air out of them, and when you get them, they don't pop up. So, you know, these pop up. I don't know about any other company. If they do it right, they will pop up. These pop up. So what we do, just take it out of the bag. These are fantastic. You don't have to put anything on there. All you have to do is put the bait on and they pop up. And they pop up off the bottom, and the pike love them. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a hook in the tail, like so. Then a hook basically halfway down, like so. And then I'm going to put just a little bit of elastic on that top end, just to hold it on. It helps with the cast, and it also helps that fish don't pull it off. Not too much, you don't want to hinder the striking. There you go, round. I'm just putting it onto that top hook, like so. Like so. And then I'm just going to put it on the treble like so, and then break it off. And then away we go. There you go, that's holding it on. There's perfect. Now what will happen now is that fish will sink down to the bottom and will pop up like that off the bottom. And the old pike comes along, sees it, popped up off the bottom, dead easy. He's just popping straight into the fish. He hasn't got to struggle to get it off the bottom, straight into the fish. And that pops up naturally. That's a pollen, absolute fabulous bait. This is another favourite of mine. This is a large smelt. Some call them turbo, some companies call them maxes. They're large smelt. They're very good fish. I tell you what, they're very good to use on trout reservoirs where they don't allow freshwater fish, because this is a sea bait, but it doesn't quite smell so oily and doesn't smell like mackerel or herring. And sometimes I've noticed when you can't get a fish on the mackerel or the herring, sometimes you can get a lot of takes on this. And what I do here is, as I said before, I like to pop baits up. And what I do is hook the smelt, and on the rig, what I've got is a ball. Now just imagine what that does. Either takes it slowly off the bottom, just hangs it up a little bit. If it doesn't hang it up, put a bigger ball on. Test it in the side so that hangs it up nice again, just like the pollen. That pike can come along and bump straight into it. No hard trying to lift it off the bottom, putting his nose into the silt. On a day when he's just, shall I, shan't I, this can make the difference in the pike grabbing it and sort of taking the bait. So that's a smelt, and that's popped up. But you can use that with any bait. You can use, any bait at all that doesn't naturally pop up, because the pollen's one of the few that does. Then you just put a poly ball like that, and up it pops. And the nice thing about this is when you get it really buoyant, when you see a pike strike, what you can do is undo the bail arm, and what will happen, the line will be taken and it'll go right up to the surface, and then you can reel it back down to the lead. And so often what I've done is, as I've took it up, then dropped it down, the pike takes it. So you're actually giving your dead bait some life. Great way to fish. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a piece of elastic, bait elastic, round the top treble, just to help it on the cast, but also stops the pike pulling the bait off. There you go, round the treble again, and then break it off. Perfect, look at that. Absolutely perfect rig. How can you not catch a pike on that? Look at that. The bait that I'm going to use on the third rod is a half a mackerel, a great favourite with a pike angler. This one I'm going to let just be different. I'm going to be line it on the bottom, and what I've done is I've just cut off the tail. If you cast in range, it does help. It stops the bait spinning and stops tangles. So all I've done is just trim the tail off so it casts that little bit better. And people say, well, it's more natural with a tail on. Well, there ain't much natural about half a mackerel lying in the middle of a still water, believe me. So, you know, I think we're conning them really. Okay, so the hook, same again, those two, same rig into the mackerel, and then halfway down. There we go, perfect. Tiny bit of elastic around the top end, look, just to hold it in place. 3 or 4 turns, then round the treble, and then pull it, break it, perfect. There you go, look, absolutely perfect. Bringing it back, let me just show you and talk you through this. What I've got, let me just put it on first, is a billy backbiter and a Nash siren. Now you think, crikey, that's a lot of equipment just for a pike run, but what I like about this is if you use just a buzzer, a cart buzzer, it will bleep, but you might not hear that just once, and the pike might have it, and it might be eating it, and you haven't gone to the rod. Now, if a pike picks it up on this system, what happens is he goes, you've got to go to the rod. You've got to go to the rod, and then if the fish is taking, so you've got 2 forms of indication. It's very, very important that you get to that rod as soon as the pike picks it up. Pike are not hard to unhook. They really aren't. Once you get used to it, they're very, very easy, but you need the right equipment. One is an unhooking mat. These are supplied by the fisheries, but you know, you don't need one this big or this deep or whatever, but you need an unhooking mat. You know, all these brambles and sticks at this time of year can damage the pike, so you know, a nice unhooking mat. A container of water just to put on the fish, just to keep it moist while you're unhooking it or photographing it. And the most important things, very strong unhooking forceps. Well, these are pliers, big heavy pliers, and then cutters. And these cutters are to cut the hooks. If I've got the slightest problem with the hook, all I do is cut the hook off. So the barb comes off, and then I can just take it out. So the hook comes out completely. I don't keep messing around with it. The price of a hook is a few pennies. The price of a pike, you might not be able to replace a 20 or 30 pound pike in my lifetime again. So they're important to keep. That important to look after, even a small one, you know, whether it be £6 or what. The £6 might be, you know, the 30 pounder in 8-10 years time. Those are there, ready and waiting for the pike we hook. Now notice that there's quite a few pike hunting up in the water, and they're taking a few live fish, and I'm not getting any takes. I want some takes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a float, a set float. I've just put the stop knot and a bead and a float right on the top of the wire trace, because it's only about another foot deeper than that. Okay, so it's floating braid, stop knot bead, bead to stop it locking onto that swivel there, 30 pound wire, 2 trebles again. And what I'm going to do, first of all, I've got a trout here, I'm just going to pierce its swim bladder so it doesn't float up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang this fish horizontal as though it's a live fish hanging up there amongst the roach that they're hunting, and that's going to hang just there like that. And with the wind just drifting along, as those fish come up, those pike come up to get the roach. Ooh, he's a bit of a dopey devil, got you. Okay, so I'm just going to sling that out, stand by it, hold it, and just watch it go round, and hopefully go bink down. Typical of January, very, very changeable weather. There's a couple of seagulls that have been flying over the area because the pike, there's a few pike striking on the roach. That's why I'm drifting this trout in there. And what's actually happening, the pike are eating the fish, they're nailing one, and then there obviously might be injuring a couple, and they're floating to the top. And the seagulls, just like when you're at sea, when you're fishing for tuna or marlin or whatever, you chase the seagulls because they tell you where they go, where things are being eaten and where things are coming to the top. Absolutely fantastic. How understanding nature, it's not just about fishing. If you don't know what those seagulls are doing over there, why have they suddenly, sort of in a spot? And that will tell you that pike are hunting in that spot, and they, perch or pike are killing in that spot, and there's like sort of roach or little perch or whatever floating to the top, and those seagulls are coming down and taking them, or even diving and getting them, because as the pike and perch raise those small fish to the surface, they become very vulnerable, and the seagulls can dive and get them. So it's a good ploy just to keep looking round and see if you can see seagulls doing that. If you do, move into that area. We've got a few pike in this area now. I'm starting to become confident that this trout might just nail one. There you go. I've got a take on that trout. He's taking line, lovely. Taking line. We're just going to wind down on this fish now. Yeah, taking line. That'll do. Here we go. Here we go. Yep. Yep, we got it. We've got our first pike of the day. Oh, yep. It's not a big fish, but I tell you what. Oh, look at that. We got one. It's only a jacker, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. There you go. He's wrapped all round. There you go. He's free now. God blimey. He's a frisky devil, isn't he? Come on, my beauty. First pike of the day. Come on. Come on. First pike of the day in the net. There you go. First pike of the day. Not a big fish, but the old trout showed it up, eh? There's a few showing, and I fancy him to be on the dead bait, but I've just drifted a dead trout across, and of course they've come in, the roach have all dispersed, and bingo. There we go, we got one. First of the day. Lovely. As I said, spotted those seagulls, went, cast a bait into it, and look what we've got. We've got our first pike of the day. I'm going to show you how to unhook a pike. Dead easy. People get panicky and frightened to death. All you got to do, under the gill raker here, you put your finger in there like so, lift up, open his mouth. Look at that. Perfect. See? Yep. Open his mouth, no problem at all. Just get the hook, just lightly hook that was, out. Lift him up. There you go, look. Beauty. A beautiful fish, the old pike. Look at him, design. Let me just show you the design of him. Nice and sleek, so fast, look. There's our freshwater shark. Designed, look at the camouflage, designed to hide there in reeds or weed. And then all of a sudden, he makes this strike. And he's got you. A big mouth opens, look, and he's got you. This fish has got a chance to be, in a few years, that 30. There you go. Look at that. Nearly ready. Bacon and eggs out in the freezing cold weather. And as I'm cooking, there's a robin getting ready for the bread. And you wouldn't believe it, but just saw a mink come right under the rods. He's been there 2 or 3 times now. He's just going one way, then another. Incredible. I love it. Bacon, eggs, waiting for a fish to take. Oh, mate, unbelievable. This is what it's about. This is what it's about. Never mind about £100 of fish and every time you go out, never mind about 20 and 30s and whatever. Yeah, you know, they come. If you do it, they'll come. But catching 20 and 30 pound pike ain't what keeps you going, because most times you won't catch that. Most times you'll catch virtually very little. But hey, this is what it's about. You're out there enjoying it for what it is. And this is what it is. Just pure enjoyment. Whoa! Woo-hoo-hoo. There we go. Got to take here, look. Look at the line peeling off. No need to wait. Those hooks are in his mouth now. Perfect. He's just gently going away, gently going away. I'm just going to wind down to him now and he's into that fish. Here we go. Wind down, wind down, wind down, wind down, wind down, wind down, wind down. Oh, yeah, cool. Woo-hoo. Yeah, proper one. Come on, just a little farther, just a little farther. There you go, there you go. Yes, get in the net, my son. Great. Woo-hoo. There you go. What an end to the day. 17 pound 10 ounces. Absolutely beautiful fish. Fought quite well as well. Very cold water, so they do tend to fight a bit sluggish. But we've ended up a good day. It was slow at first, just a jack, but then all of a sudden we said we wanted a double figured pike at the start of the day when I was in my tattle den, and there we go. We've got a beauty here. Look at that for a tremendous fish. Pike fishing at its best. Well, what a day. Let's put that back. You're out there enjoying it for what it is. And this is what it is. Just pure enjoyment. Right, let's get the eggs. Oh, you... Oh, what a... Oh, yes. 2-2. If you don't want it, I shall eat lot. You hell.